$85 a piece. It's unsustainable. So to continue on the path of unsustainable spending just to look good, sound good, and be politically relevant, I think is just absurd.
That's State Senator Rick Brattin. He tells the Eagle he's hopeful he can win a crowded primary. The other GOP candidates include Ashland State Representative Sarah Walsh, former Boone County Clerk Taylor Burks. The district includes Columbia, Moberly, California, as well as Sedalia and Lebanon. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you live on this Tuesday morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean. For all of your heating needs, log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 6:06. Turning our attention now to sports. Tough night last night for the University of Missouri Tigers at Mizzou Arena. One of the big issues that they dealt with was turnovers. Last night, the Roos capitalized on a number of turnovers. They convert 20 points off Mizzou turnovers, and KC shocks Mizzou last night on Mizzou's home court, 80-66. Mizzou now 1-1 on the year. Coach Martin says sometimes those are painful lessons you have to go through. He says they went through it, that it's not casual basketball. You have to respect your opponent because anyone can beat you. Again, Mizzou falls to 1-1 on the year, 80-66. The final last night at Mizzou Arena. Sports brought to you by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 6:07. All right, John, thank you. John with us this morning, all morning on the Wake Up Columbia. 43 here in Columbia.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads are quiet right now in mid-Missouri. A couple of quick reminders again for folks on westbound I-70 in the Kingdom City area. Be prepared again for major delays because of the work going on that bridge. One lane shut down at all times. Grindstone Parkway coming on to northbound Highway 63. That ramp going down to northbound 63, full of potholes. So work on that today and tomorrow. That will be causing backups as well. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
We need to talk about black-on-black crime. We need to talk that there's one young man that's dead, one young African-American man that's going to jail, 5 other are in the hospital. Nobody is talking about that. Nobody wants to get out in these streets because they are scared. And at the end of the day, my prayer is that the county and the city start giving organization money that's out there on the front line.
I respect a lot of the work that guy does. His name is Reverend James Gray. We disagree on pretty much everything, socially and politically, as a matter of fact, last time. But we always chat. You know, we can talk. We don't disagree, but it doesn't mean we can't talk. As a matter of fact, last time I saw him was when Brian Hauswirth and I, we were at the county. Whenever the county decided to pull down those murals, he was there. And afterwards, he kind of chided me because, you know, his side won. I chided him because, you know, my team lost. But he's a good guy, and I really believe a lot of the work that he does in this community, it's real, it's on the street. That's from last night's city council meeting in reference to that officer-involved shooting that happened over the weekend. And we saw just hours after that shooting happened, we saw that press conference, and Chief Jeff Jones brought this up on our show yesterday. That was a press conference. You don't see a press conference like that too often, the way that unfolded.
Never. The last time I've ever seen anything even remotely like it is there was a CPD press conference that had to do with the conceal and carry, and Columbia police officers actually argued with other Columbia police officers. That was in 1999, and that was as bizarre as anything I've ever seen. Obviously, that didn't involve a fatality, although that got heated. This was very unusual. In fact, I would say unprecedented, Branden, because you had members of the community who, well, in this case, members of the community, James Gray was there, Reverend Gray, and also the owner of Vibes. And then there were a number of residents as well who actually got on the microphone and expressed their comments. And the gentleman from Vibes, very critical of some of the things done by CPD. So you just don't see that very often.
I talked to Jeff multiple times. What can we do so my staff and CPD can get together and try to disperse the crowd? How can I keep getting blamed for stuff that's happening on, the city of Columbia grounds?
Master Ravel Fair, he is the owner of that Vibes nightclub, and he's frustrated. He's like, hey, man, I'm a small local business owner. A lot of this stuff, and he's accurate, a lot of this stuff is not happening at his club. It's the genesis for a lot of that stuff. You're bringing in an element. It's late. There's booze. Apparently there's guns. Listen, I've done the night scene, the nightlife scene before. I know what happens. Not at places like Vibes, but I know what happens, especially after midnight. Listen, if I find myself at an ATM after 10 o'clock midnight, chances are I'm not at that ATM for a good reason. I'm not pulling out money to put into the church kitty the next day.
Are you ever even awake at 10 p.m.?
There is that. I feel bad for this guy, but Reverend James Gray, I love what this guy does mostly. He says, one of the things, and he's talking about maybe money for programs, and he called out a bunch of organizations as cowardice, and I would include Tracy Wilson Kleekamp in that. She was somebody who spoke at the meeting last night, and he used the word coward, and the reason I would say it applies to people like Tracy Wilson Kleekamp, she is no friend to the black community. I promise you that. She tries to tell you she is not. Black people will tell you that. Tracy Wilson Kleekamp is there. Race, it's racist. How come you got this? James Gray is there with, solutions and saying, hey, we're out on the streets working on this stuff. Then there's other people, these cowards, that are talking at city council meetings, and they're doing it. They ain't doing crap. Kudos to the Reverend James Gray.
Yeah, and kudos to Demetrius, who was on our show yesterday, who said, hey, Chief, I want to, I'm there every day. I've got a business in downtown. It affects me as a business owner. It affects me as a person. I had concerns about my own family. I had concerns about people that I know. And I just want to sit down and have a face-to-face conversation to talk about solutions, to talk about what we can do together.
And I hope that happens, because Demetrius Woods, he is, or used to be, the streets. He was the streets. Mm-hmm. He's the guy they make a movie in Hollywood about, for real.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm exaggerating. This guy was a gang banger. He was slinging drugs. You wanted drugs back in the day. It all went through one guy by the name of Demetrius Woods. He was badass, and not in a good way. He went to prison. Eventually, lawmakers worked to get him out. And now he spends his time on the streets helping people. Helping people, not just like poor, but helping people that... He's got some commonalities with. Yeah, when I was young, I was doing this. That's your age. Here's my experience, man. Let me try to help you.
Yeah, and he genuinely cares for this community. And I don't think he'd mind me sharing this, but he shared off air. He said, look, I could make more money in a different location. I could take my business with my skill set and I could go somewhere else. But I care about this community. It's treated me well. I care about the people in it, and I want to be here doing good in the community.
And he highlighted another problem, another reality, another truth. And I am so glad that he said this, because, and I'm probably guilty of it, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I think we all acquiesced yesterday. This stuff is going to happen. You're never going to solve. You're never going to stop it. There might be some things that you can do to at least make it go to a different part of town. We don't want it in downtown. We're comfortable when it happens north of 70 and east of I-60 or east of 63. We're okay with that. Doesn't get in my way. Happens in downtown. Now it's in my backyard. But I appreciate what Demetrius said yesterday. I was kind of sad, too. I appreciate it because it's true. He had the balls to say it. But it's sad because there's a lot of people that they won't hear it. Nope, it's racism. Or climate change is the other one. Demetrius Woods on the show yesterday.
I'm not supposed to talk to him. He's not supposed to talk to me. If we want to go by the stigmas of a culture I come from that I'm still associated with, or a culture that he comes from, that the way that our society is built.
He's saying, I'm not even supposed to be talking to the chief. We were able to hook the two up yesterday, Chief Jeff Jones, Demetrius Woods, and I'm hoping that they can get together and talk. But I just thought that was an interesting point, Demetrius. It's kind of like the people, snitches get stitches. You don't talk. You don't get seen talking to police. He says, we're not even supposed to talk because where I come from, I mean, it's seriously a bad thing. Kind of disturbing. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. That is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Mr. Brian Hauswirth.
Good morning.
We do have some new details emerging this morning following that weekend officer-involved shooting.
Yeah, we do. And I'll tell you, the thing is, when we got the name of the suspect, obviously we ran him. I checked his criminal record, and his name is Todd Duran Nesbitt, and he has multiple misdemeanor convictions. Now, a lot of these may have been pleaded down. We can't tell, but misdemeanor convictions for drugs, driving while revoked, resisting arrest, domestic assault. He never went to prison. He did go to jail for 2 days a couple times and then 14 days. I also found this out, Stephanie, and just from court records, public information here. I saw on CaseNet, Nesbitt was charged with felony domestic assault in July. He was released after posting a $5,000 bond. $5,000 bond. So, had he been in jail, he wouldn't have, but $5,000 he posted. Now, it said an all-cash bond, basically. So, he's being held without bond right now. The reason we bring that up is because Chief Jones, if you go back and look at the previous release right before the incident happened, he complained on Friday afternoon that some of these suspects in some of these shootings are getting out on bond. And he specifically talked about, he didn't use his name, he's talking about Sled, the alleged suspect in the Gold Bar shooting, who is an alleged convicted felon. And he said that suspect was out on bond as well. So that is interesting. But yes, Nesbitt had been out on bond. He had posted a $5,000 bond, and now he is jailed without bond until further notice. And again, ACA, armed criminal action, first-degree assault are the two charges facing him right now. Those are both felonies. Yeah,
we actually had a listener text in yesterday and kind of speculate that the increase in crime is due to the increase in folks, being out that should actually be in prison. And I think the idea is that maybe we find someone in the prosecutor's office, someone on that side, to try to, talk about what are those numbers? Are we releasing more people than we have in the past, and is that contributing to the crime? I don't know the answer, but I think we're going to try to find the people who do.
And over the past 2 years, I think the fair question, limited jail space because social distancing and all that stuff. Those are some great questions. Hannah, the producer, is joining us on the show, too.
Good morning.
My name is Branden, Rathert, 874-9390. I don't know the answer to this. Jimmy text 874-9390. Most bars, I guess, close at 1:30. How is it that this bar was open at 3? Is it because they don't serve booze or something?
Well, here's we don't know the answer to that, but KMIZ or ABC17news.com has a story up about that very issue on their website, and they address that issue. And it's still a little confusing, but you can find that story on there. I believe it was Joshua Blount that did that last night. They mentioned in 2018 they were cited, and then I think there's 2 citations, but they're supposed to be out of there, the customers, by, I believe, 1:30 in the morning. But yes, there is a story up on that, Brandon. You can pull that up.
93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Big news made in Columbia yesterday. State Senator Rick Brattin, who's been on the show before. I can't remember what for, Steph. Your memory's better than mine sometimes. Do you remember what he was on for? I can't remember.
I think it was, I wasn't here, but as I recall, it was about, he had the bill about the blocking interstates, and you had him on about that, as I recall.
That would probably be it. He's announced that he's running for Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler's seat because she's running for Senate. So State Senator Rick Brattin jumping in the field, Sarah Walsh, Taylor Burks. The list continues to get longer. And look, Kalina Bruce.
The guy from Kansas City, did we say him already?
Mark
the TV dude who's been on. So a lot of folks in the race. Rick Brattin in the race. We get to meet the guy. He joins us 7:10 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. And by the way, City Council meeting last night in Columbia. Matt Pitzer, City Councilman, 5th District. He's going to be joining us 7:35. I don't think really anything super big, super earth-shattering that's going to get in your way today. We'll cover that coming up 7:35. We also have your daily DC rundown with Stephanie Bell. And I will tell you, I feel bad. Every morning I come in and I say, okay, I'm not going to talk about Joe today. Right? And some of the things he did yesterday, and anytime he's got to talk to somebody on a worldwide stage, whether it's over the computer or what, it's always like, when you have a little kid and it's their first time they're playing Little League ball, their very first time, they're getting up to bat, you're excited at the possibilities, but that's tempered with the reality. He's not very good at what he does. And I'm thinking for myself.
They swing and they run to third. Yeah. And you're like, oh, we've practiced this.
That's what Joe did yesterday.
Pretty much.
He made a little bit of contact, but then ran to third base. Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. Inspired and on fire. 93.9 The Eagle.
Our bilateral relationship evolves, seems to me, will have a profound impact not only on our countries, but quite frankly, the rest of the world.
That's Joe talking to China yesterday. That gets us into today's Daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on 93.9 The Eagle.
Joe said their responsibility, the both of them, was to ensure the competition between our countries does not veer into conflict. How, submissive does that sound? Like, hey, just checking. We just need to, we can compete, but, we need to not be in conflict.
It's like when it's your first Little League at bat, you actually hit the ball and run to third base instead of first base. That's what that is.
So they talked for 3 hours. Nothing really came of it. It's tradition that at the end of one of these meetings, there's a joint statement issued. They backed off that, setting very low expectations for the meeting. They did talk, I guess. Joe was greeted as an old friend. Again, does that mean, bless his heart when he's like, oh, welcome, my old friend, pat him on the head type thing? It's just really sad. I mean, we've heard China say we're not coming at them from a position of strength, and I think yesterday was an example of that. It's hard to watch.
And I'm wondering where the inflection was when the leader of China, when he said, oh, I want to welcome my old friend Joe Biden, or was it, oh, I want to welcome my old friend? Where was the inflection on old friend?
Right. Well, this relationship is going to be tested. I guess Secretary of State Antony Blinken is headed to Africa, and there his trip is trying to raise the U.S.'s profile as being kind of a regional player, helping with peace, democracy, coronavirus vaccines, that kind of thing. Meanwhile, China is pumping billions into Africa as far as energy, infrastructure, and these kinds of things. And so the two countries are kind of, have some tension in Africa. And I think that, this trip and how that relationship in that area plays out will say a lot about what's going on between the U.S. and China. So,
and then, so we're China and Africa. What about America? We got stuff happening here too, man.
Well, Joe is headed to New Hampshire. He hasn't been there since he had a dismal performance in the campaign. But he is headed there he's on this PR circuit, trying to convince people what they just passed was good, trying to bring up his approval rating. What we know right now is people are exhausted. They're exhausted by the virus. They're exhausted by inflation. They're exhausted by, all the extra work. They're exhausted by everything. And I think that includes Joe Biden. He's saying, this is what he said. America is moving again, and your life is going to change for the better. Does anyone actually believe that?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
At all. And I'm just basing on his experience over less than a year now, just since he's taken office on January 20th. That's your Daily DC Rundown on 93.9 The Eagle. Christopher Arps, our Missouri-based political consultant, ChristopherArps.com, is going to be joining us. Representative Cori Bush in the St. Louis area, who embarrasses the Show Me State all the time. She's got some news and maybe a whammy against her. Christopher Arps has details on that story coming up at 6:35. Of course, Fox News is here. What did Joe talk about with China's leader yesterday? Brian Hauswirth is here. So more details regarding this officer-involved shooting over the weekend in Columbia. Meanwhile, what we're learning this morning about an apparent homicide in Fulton. Brian has those stories at 6:31. I have your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast. Sunny, 74 today. Clouds tonight, 53. Rain and 61 tomorrow. Thursday, sunny, 45 degrees. How about that today? Sunny, 74. Right now, it's 44. 93.9 The Eagle.
Fox News, I'm Chris Foster.
Democrats and Republicans can come together and deliver results.
The infrastructure bill passed by Congress is signed into law by President Biden.
It's $1 trillion, $600 billion to improve highways, bridges, dams, public transport, rails, ports, airport, water quality, broadband, and electric charging stations.
Fox's Kevin Corke. Wyoming's Republican Party votes to no longer recognize Congresswoman Liz Cheney as a party member for opposing former President Trump. Debris from a Russian anti-satellite weapons test has the International Space Station crew sent to huddle in docked spacecraft for 2 hours.
NASA Administrator Bill Nelson condemned the Russian action, saying it was irresponsible. The Russian Space Agency sent out a tweet trying to downplay the danger, saying the object that forced the crew to move has now moved away from the ISS orbit.
Fox's Jill Nato. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. We're expecting sunshine. Today's high around 74. Cloudy tonight with a low near 53. Right now it's 42 degrees in Columbia, and here are some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour on The Eagle. Columbia's police chief is crediting the community for helping detectives identify and capture a second suspect in Sunday morning's mass casualty incident outside Vibes Lounge downtown. 28-year-old Todd Duran Nesbitt of Columbia is charged with first-degree assault in ACA, that's armed criminal action. He was arraigned via video on Monday afternoon. He is jailed without bond this morning. Our news partner, ABC 17, has documented 8 shootings in downtown Columbia since September the 18th. 4 of those shootings happened outside of Vibes, all between the hours of 2:30 a.m. and 5 a.m. To be clear, outside of Vibes, not inside. 2 people were shot outside of Vibes on September the 18th. Columbia police say they will continue to increase foot patrols downtown. They're also considering adding some temporary lighting systems as well. In Fulton, police are asking for your help in solving a brutal homicide. Detectives say 26-year-old Donald Simmons' body was found in a creek early Monday morning. He had been shot multiple times. Police tell 93.9 The Eagle that Simmons has ties to Wisconsin and to mid-Missouri. They are urging anyone who saw Simmons or had contact with him in the past 72 hours to call Crime Stoppers 573-592-2474. Columbia staff members say it's been difficult to find the right location for a proposed new fire station near St. Charles and East Richland Roads. Voters approved a $3 million project for the new fire station in 2015. It was part of a voter-approved capital improvement sales tax extension. The city council packet says one property owner in that area opposes a fire station being so close to their home. The council plans a December public hearing. In saying that our way of life is under attack, a conservative Republican state senator has announced his candidacy for West Central Missouri's 4th congressional district seat. Harrisonville State Senator Rick Brattin making his announcement in downtown Columbia, telling reporters he wants to do the best he can to save the republic.
Because I really, truly feel that we're at the Alamo stage between liberty and freedom, or tyranny and socialism and communism take over in America.
He calls for America First policies and blasts CRT, served 4 terms in the Missouri House, 2011 to 2018, then was elected to the state Senate in 2020. 93.9 The Eagle News Time is 6:34. In sports, the Kansas City Roos. Many fans call them UMKC. The actual name now formally is Kansas City. Kansas City Roos upset Mizzou Monday night in Columbia, winning the game 80-66. Kansas City converting 20 points off Mizzou turnovers in the game. So Mizzou again falls by 14 points in the game. Coach Martin giving a lot of credit after the game as well to the job that Kansas City did. Our sports is brought to you this morning by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:34.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads are quiet right now in mid-Missouri. For those of you traveling on Grindstone Parkway that use Highway 63, just a reminder, there are a number of potholes that are on the ramp that goes from Grindstone Parkway to northbound Highway 63. Lots of potholes up and down that road. MoDOT will be there all day today, starting at 9 until 3, all day again tomorrow. So expect some delays. Give yourself extra time. Grindstone Parkway getting on to northbound Highway 63. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hi, I'm Becky Arps, and I am so excited that you get to experience a bit of the thoughts I hear every single day. Enjoy.
Chris. Our Missouri-based political consultant, Christopher Arps. And his wife, Becky Arps, kind of making news this morning. How's your wife making news this morning, Chris?
You know, I appreciate if you wouldn't talk over my theme song.
It's the Chris Arps theme song on Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle. Everybody gather around and listen.
I've never heard the full thing before.
I don't think anybody has. That's good. You should do that on your radio show that you're doing in St. Louis.
Oh, we should. We should. Yeah, I didn't know it was we didn't know you had the extended version.
Yeah, I got the long version. As a matter of fact,
can you make it stop now?
I sure can.
That guy can't sing.
Christopher Arps, ChristopherArps.com. You see him on Newsmax TV all the time. We've been hanging out with this dude for a couple of years, and it's pretty cool. You know, we look at the number of people around us that have gone on to do really cool things. Mm-hmm. I think of Demetrius Woods. This is a guy who was on the show yesterday, former real deal street gangbanger. If you wanted drugs in Colombia, it was this guy, 11 years in prison. Now he dedicates his life to helping people. He's a business owner. He just got a concession contract at Mizzou Sports. We look at him. We look at, who is our Cecilia S. Johnson, a good friend of yours. She joined us on the show. Now she's working for the Republican Party in Washington, D.C. Chris Arps, he comes on the show. Now he has his own radio show in St. Louis. All these people.
There's a theme here.
I know.
There's a theme here. I can't put my finger quite on it. But there's a theme there. What is it, Branden?
You go on to do great things because we surround ourselves with great people here on the show. And then as expected, as always, you go on to do great things. What's happening? Even your wife is getting in on the action, man. She's kind of making news.
She will, and I will say what the theme is. All the people that you mentioned are African American. And I like that because, you know, Democratic Party tries to tell African Americans that they can't achieve in America and that white people are inherently racist and won't let you achieve. And me, Cecilia, and the guests that you mentioned are disproving that. So
wow, Christopher, you know what? I'm being serious. Like I
didn't catch that either.
I didn't either.
I thought Branden was going to take credit for it and just say, well, they were all on my show first. As the white guy on the show, right?
I'm being serious, Chris. I guess I didn't think of it that. I swear to God, man.
You're an equal opportunity person there. Thank you, Branden. Now,
yes,
I will get to your question that you've asked me three times already.
Frankly, I'm not interested anymore. Chris Arps. ChristopherArps.com. Let's start here. Cori Bush, and this gets in our way. I do pay attention to this because she embarrasses Missouri all of the time. She's about defunding the police. God knows how much money she spends in the hundreds of thousands of dollars for her own police protection while she wants to defund them. She embarrasses the state of Missouri all the time. She announced she's running for re-election, but she's going to be facing some stiff competition.
She is. She's going to be facing a guy that I am supporting, and I'm an unpaid advisor to his campaign. His name is Andrew Jones. He ran for mayor of St. Louis this year. He is a electric co-op executive in Southern Illinois. He's got a business degree from Washington University, and I think he is the man for the job for the 1st Congressional District. You know, you talked about Cori Bush, how she is an embarrassment. Well, she embarrassed Missouri in the 1st Congressional District yesterday by tweeting out something saying that during the 2014 Michael Brown riots, that white supremacists were shooting at protesters from some bushes somewhere. So it just never stops with her. This is a person that said during the summer that we need to defund the Pentagon while she has a major defense contractor, Boeing, in her district. She's out of touch, and she needs to go, Branden.
So now if we're looking at resumes, your guy, he's got everything.
Yes.
But that's not necessarily the way the people in that area vote. Do you get what I'm...
That is correct. And I think what Andrew is going to do is he's going to appeal to many that are in the 1st District that are African American, that are disaffected with Cori Bush's leadership. You know, she's very vocal. She's part of the squad. She's part of Black Lives Matter, and that gets her a lot of media attention. And so that makes a lot of people think that she's popular and has support here in St. Louis. Branden, there's at least 2, maybe 3 people that are going to primary her in the Democratic primary for that seat. And there are a lot of constituents within the 1st Congressional District that they may be Democrat, they may be liberal, but they are not communists like Cori Bush.
Chris Arps, ChristopherArps.com. You see him on Newsmax TV all the time. And finally, your wife is making some news headlines this morning.
I'm so proud.
Yeah.
I'm so proud. My wife is one of the co-chairmen of the St. Louis County Reapportionment Commission. They are charged every 10 years with redrawing the county council district lines. And she and the board and the commission are on the verge of making history. There has not been a map that has been approved by the commission in 50 years. Most of the time they can't agree, and the judges have to draw the maps. But the Democrats have changed their map to mirror the Republicans' map. There's a lot of bipartisanship going on right now in this process, which is rare. And it looks like next week they may vote to vote on a map to change the districts.
So they'll do it instead of it having to go to a judge. Let me ask you, said something. I think we conservatives, whatever you want to call it, independents, libertarians, I feel like we have momentum, and I hate to make it about us versus them, but I look at Joe Biden's his polling numbers continue to get worse, and my goodness, don't dare look at Kamala Harris's polling numbers, and don't dare criticize her, because if you are criticizing her, you're racist and you're misogynistic because she's a black chick. So you look at the polling numbers, you look at more and more parents nationwide getting involved with what's happening in schools. We have the Virginia gubernatorial race. I think we see a lot of things happening, and I'm going to use this when this comes up in conversation today with my friends. I'm going to use your story. Hey, it looks like in St. Louis County for the first time in 40 years, these politicians of differing parties might agree on something. Do you am I too optimistic here in saying there's this movement, groundswell of things that we can be looking forward to?
I think you were hitting it right on the nail. I mean, you look what's happened, as you said, with the president and vice president's approval ratings. You look what's happening here locally on the St. Louis County Reapportionment Commission. And I think yesterday really showed the Democrats' bad fortunes. Senator Patrick Leahy, who has been in the United States Senate since 1974, the longest-ranking Democrat in the Senate right now, announced yesterday that he is not running for re-election. Now, he's 86 years old. You'd say, oh, well, he's getting up in age. He wants to, enjoy the rest of his time not being in Congress. That guy eats, drinks, and breathes the Senate. It's an institution that he loves, and I think that he is retiring because he does not want to spend his last term in the minority, and he's out of there. And I said many times on my radio show, look for a lot more retirements in the next coming weeks and months from Democrats.
And there's a state representative in Texas. His name is Ryan Guillen.
Yes.
You heard about this dude?
Yeah, we talked about that yesterday on the show. We had Paris Denard on, who's from the RNC, and we asked him about, hey, you've got another GOP member that has joined the fold. He is an Hispanic state rep that's down in southern Texas near the border counties, and I think that just spells huge for Texas Republicans that Hispanics are joining the Republican Party and are leaving the Democratic Party.
So this guy's a Democrat. He's no more. I'm switching to Republican. And one of his biggest concerns is the handling or the lack of any kind of leadership on what's happening with his constituents in those border towns along the border, because it's not about the skin color or, hey, we're the same, we got to hang together. No, see, this is American and we have laws and we have policies. I don't care that I'm Mexican and I'm supposed to have a D by my name. I appreciate that, guy. Can you hang out for a few more minutes, or what do you got to do? You got to go?
Let's do it.
All right, we'll hang out some more with Christopher Arps, ChristopherArps.com. Want to ask, because we have a situation, I guess, kind of developing here in in Columbia, and it's something actually that's happened in St. Louis. Matter of fact, we've covered it here on the show before. Christopher Arps, ChristopherArps.com. We're going to talk about what the officer involved shooting and some of the implications of that. We'll continue our visit with Mr. Arps coming up at 6:51 on 93.9 The Eagle.
Chris.
Good morning, I'm Branden Rathert for Salter. Salter, one call does it all. Yeah, lawn maintenance, snow removal, yard cleanup, leaf removal, especially after the wind we've had earlier this week. Yeah, now's a good time to call Salter. See if you can get them to help you for some fall cleanup. The other thing, that one call you should make today, Christmas lights. I know it's not even Thanksgiving yet, but a lot of folks all across Mid-Missouri are going, wow, who did those lights? And that was Salter. Nice, tight, and straight lights. Yeah, they make your house look good. And the best part is, like, when it's time for them to come down, they'll come to your house. They'll take them down, and they'll store them for you. I love that. They're doing all the work. You get all the benefits. Call Salter Lawn Service for Christmas lights. Salter, one call, does it all.
Thanks for making Wake Up Columbia your favorite morning show. 93.9 The Eagle.
Please welcome Heather Kurtenbach.
In a moment.
That happened at the White House yesterday. White House announced, the White House has their own play-by-play dude. I didn't know this, Chris. Do you know that stuff?
No, I did not.
I had no idea. So the play-by-play guy, now, context here, CNN, the Clinton News Network, came out with a story over the weekend that details problems within Kamala Harris's office. And it sounds pretty, and again, it's from CNN. I think there's more, that's part of the context too. And apparently Joe's office is not pleased with Kamala. So I guess some people might think that this yesterday, what happened with the announcer not calling Kamala's name, calling this activist name, maybe some retaliation against Kamala. It's probably not true, but I just thought it was interesting. She's up.
I think it's true.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
You think they're poking and prodding at her?
I do. They're, Stephanie can tell you this, in politics, people have big egos and they can be bruised quite easily. And that may have been a shot to her to, keep your people quiet and stop talking. And, we have to put on the brave front that we're all getting along. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was intentional.
Well, and how crazy was the Jen Psaki tweet about that was late, Sunday night? That was just like, in case you're wondering, the vice president is cool, we're cool, all's good. She works hard. I mean, it was really bizarre.
Yeah, Stephanie, you know that old saying in politics: when you're explaining, you're losing.
Right.
We have another episode actually of Psaki v. Ducey, Fox's Pete Ducey. Some of those battles between Jen and Pete becoming epic. We have another episode of Psaki v. Ducey coming up. We'll do that.
V. Ducey.
Psaki v. Ducey. Ducey.
Sounds like a Saturday Night Live skit. Remember Father what was his name?
Father Guido Sarducci.
Yeah. Guido Sarducci.
Yeah.
We're dating ourselves, Brandon. You know that.
Yeah, here's the tweet. For anyone who needs to hear it, VP is not only a vital partner to POTUS, but a bold leader who has taken on key important challenges facing the country, from voting rights to addressing root causes of migration to expanding broadband. Wow.
Sounds like she was explaining.
How she tweeted that with a straight face, I have no idea.
Chris Arps, ChristopherArps.com. Before we get into the dome, by the way, this is coming up in the Doman of the Day. I got to take you a little bit behind the scenes here.
She's like the wind.
So I'm playing that song during the commercial break, and right now, here in the studio, the interns and Hannah, the producer, are all looking around like, what the heck are you playing Patrick Swayze for?
She's like the wind.
Does it have to do with What's Hot with Hannah?
No, it has to do with the Doman of the Day, which is coming up here in about 2 minutes. By the way, What's Hot with Hannah is awesome today. Go to the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. Who would you want to have Thanksgiving dinner with? Was it a celebrity or just anybody in general?
It was if you could invite one celebrity to Thanksgiving dinner. Who would it be?
Christopher Arps.
He is a celebrity.
Oh, that's sweet.
Christopher Arps. But we've broke bread before more than once. That's old school.
Do I owe you money?
And steak.
Do I owe you money?
You might.
Okay, I'm just wondering.
Hey, let me ask you, and I've only got like 2 minutes here. We had an deadly officer involved shooting over the weekend in Columbia, and I feel for the family members of who died and for the people that were shot. I feel for the family members that are mourning for the loss and the injuries to their loved ones. I really feel for those police officers, law enforcement, Columbia Police, Jeff Jones. No matter how right you are, I think whenever you take another human being's life, that has a pretty profound effect. But sure. The heat's coming down on this Vibes Night Lounge. Our news partners at ABC 17 have detailed, I would say numerous in a short amount of time, incidents that they've had. It's an after-hours club, Christopher. One minute you had something kind of like this in St. Louis with that Rain nightclub, something that made statewide news. I feel bad. This guy's a small local business owner. Kudos on him. It is his business that is bringing that element there in those late hours, but it's still it's not his fault. What happened is not his fault.
It's not his fault directly, but I think if you are creating a climate where you're having incidences all the time, where the police have to show up and you're having rowdy behavior, then I think you do have to take some responsibility for what happened with that situation, with the situation with the officer.
All right. When are you on Newsmax next?
I have no idea.
All right, good. We'll keep watching then. We'll just watch until...
Yeah, just watch.
Just watch until you're on there. Chris Arps,
Exactly.
ChrisForArps.com. We love you, man.
Love you guys. Have a great week.
All right, what a good dude.
It's time for the Doment of the Day with Branden Rathert on 93.9 The Eagle.
Your Dolement of the Day. Dumb people in the news doing dumb things. Deliberations in the Kyle Rittenhouse trial get underway today. So why is Patrick Swayze, She's Like the Wind, and Stephanie's question was appropriate. She said, why are you playing Dirty Dancing?
Did somebody else's phone go off during the trial?
No, is what happened. The prosecution put up pictures, and actually I just realized I messed this up. That song is from Dirty Dancing, right?
Yes.
They put up pictures, and I don't know the connection. They put up pictures to Patrick Swayze's Roadhouse in their closing arguments yesterday.
Boomer. So what?
Determining his fate. I'm Pam Huso, Fox News. In a couple of hours, a jury in Wisconsin will be handed the murder case against Kyle Rittenhouse.
Kyle Rittenhouse's defense attorney, Mark Richards, argued that his client was defending himself when he shot 3 people. Richards said the first person Rittenhouse killed had threatened to kill him earlier in the night and later chased him.
I'm glad he shot him, because if Joseph Rosenbaum had got that gun, I don't for a minute believe he wouldn't have used it against somebody else.
Prosecutor James Krause said in his rebuttal,
punch him in the face, kick him in the testicles, knee him in the face, hit him with your gun. You don't just immediately get to shoot someone.
Krause called Rittenhouse a chaos tourist. Richards said he was defending a community where some of his family members lived, including his father.
Fox's Jessica Rosenthal at the White House.
America's moving again, and your life is going to change for the better.
President Biden signed a $1 trillion infrastructure bill made possible by Democrats and Republicans. A far larger social spending proposal doesn't have any GOP support. It was candid and constructive. That's how China describes last night's virtual summit between President Biden and President Xi Jinping. The White House called the discussion that lasted more than 3 hours substantive. There was no mention of the origins of COVID-19. There could be fireworks on Capitol Hill.
DHS Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas will appear before the Senate's Judiciary Committee today. The subject is border security, and Senate Republicans are expected to grill the secretary over lax border enforcement and the decision to admit asylum seekers into the U.S. interior.
Fox's Eben Brown. Democrats are expected to blame the untenable situation on the Trump administration. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
.939 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson's saves you time. 43 right now in Columbia. Clear skies. Going to be a gorgeous sunrise this morning, throughout the morning, and a beautiful day before the rain moves in tomorrow. Our high today in the low 60s. Tomorrow it will cool and rain in the forecast. A complete check of your forecast from meteorologist John Ross is coming up. Good morning, everyone. MU Healthcare says its pediatric emergency team at Women's and Children's Hospital here in Columbia on Keene is moving to University Hospital this morning. Obviously, we don't have an exact time right now, but they're doing it this morning. MU Health says parking will be offered in University Hospital's parking lot in front of the emergency entrance. The relocation, one of the first steps toward creating a centralized hospital campus. MU Health broke ground in October, a $232 million new children's hospital project. Meantime, the second suspect in a deadly weekend incident outside Vibes in downtown Columbia has now been captured by CPD. 28-year-old Todd Duran Nesbitt is jailed without bond this morning. He's been charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. Online court records show that Nesbitt has previous misdemeanor convictions for drugs, driving while revoked, resisting arrest, and domestic assault. Nesbitt was also charged with felony domestic assault in July, but he was released after posting a $5,000 bond. CPD's investigation into the Vibes incident continues. Columbia police are boosting foot patrols downtown. They're considering expanding camera systems as well. They're working to clear traffic congestion on Broadway that's caused by illegal parking and other issues. CPD says that could be leading to some of the disturbances. Chief Jones describes downtown Columbia as a vibrant space. Our news partner, ABC 17, has documented 8 shootings in downtown Columbia since mid-September. In 4 of those shootings, victims were struck by gunfire. Fulton police continuing a homicide investigation this morning. A man's body found in Stinson Creek.
Fulton officers were called out to the creek between West 7th Street and Route F around 1 a.m. Monday on the Westminster campus. They found the body of 26-year-old Donald Simmons, who'd been shot multiple times. Investigators say Simmons was from the state of Illinois. Police say they may have some suspects in the shooting, but don't elaborate. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
City officials expecting a proposed new fire station in Northeast Columbia to respond to about 1,000 calls for service annually. This is in Northeast Columbia. The fire station projected would be built near St. Charles and East Richland Roads. Now, they are having some issues trying to get a specific location. One of the neighbors does not want a fire station close to their home. The city is saying that they will have a December public hearing for the project coming up in December. Columbia voters approved the project, a 2015 capital improvement sales tax extension. GOP primary field for West Central Missouri's 4th Congressional District seat continues to grow. Harrisonville State Senator Rick Brattin traveling to Columbia on Monday. He announced his candidacy. He says President Biden has weakened the United States. Brattin is critical of federal spending. He says it's unsustainable and is causing inflation.
I mean, I'm seeing Thanksgiving turkeys at $85 a piece. It's unsustainable. So to continue on the path of unsustainable spending just to look good, sound good, and be politically relevant, I think is just absurd.
Brattin tells 93.9 The Eagle he's hopefully can win in a crowded primary. Other Republican candidates include Ashland State Representative Sarah Walsh, former Boone County Clerk Taylor Burks, and also Kalina is in that race as well. The district includes Columbia, Moberly, California, and Sedalia. And Senator Brattin will join us after our newscast this morning right here on Wake Up Columbia. He is from Harrisonville, same town as Vicky Hartzler. I asked him if Vicky Hartzler is going to endorse in this race, and according to the senator, she is staying out of it. She is staying neutral. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by the Candy Factory. The Candy Factory has the perfect gifts for your employees and customers this holiday season. Anniversaries, birthdays, any day. Candy Factory, Cherry Street in downtown Columbia. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. In sports, the Blues hosting Phoenix tonight, 7 o'clock at the Enterprise Center in downtown St. Louis. The puck will drop at 7 o'clock. The Blues have lost 2 very close games, one the other night in overtime. The Edmonton Oilers tonight. It's the Phoenix team coming in 7 o'clock, Enterprise Center. Kansas City Roos converting 20 points last night off Mizzou turnovers. The Tigers upset on their own home court in Columbia, 80-66 by Kansas City. That's their formal name now. Used to be UMKC. Kobe Brown led the Tigers, 20 points. Mizzou now on the year is 1-1. Our sports is brought to you on this Tuesday morning by the folks at ServiceMaster. ServiceMaster Clean of Columbia. Adam Kinser, ServiceMasterofColumbia.com, 573-443-8383. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:08. All right, John, thanks. Our weather is brought to you by Witt Print Shop this morning. Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. 43 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Not hearing anything from Joint Communications. I did hear some scanner traffic about some traffic backups on Stadium, but nothing right now from Joint Communications. If you're on Stadium and there is a backup, definitely let us know. I'm not aware of any accident, but it sounds like there is congestion in up and down Stadium for whatever reason. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. We'll have more team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
This is mostly a protest. It is not generally speaking unruly.
That ain't a riot, what we're seeing right now in Minneapolis. They are strictly principled anti-fascists, and they've taken a principled stand to stand against white supremacists and white nationalists wherever they may show up.
Most of the major movements in American history have started at the grassroots level and at some point have turned into direct conflict with American government. So remember your history before you judge your president.
Thuggishness is thuggishness wherever it comes from politically, and we should be the first to call it out.
I disagree.
Remember that? The reporter for CNN standing in front of blazing buildings and people breaking stuff, and this guy standing there with the mic. I couldn't make this up. Saying these are mostly peaceful protests. That was a true story. That really happened. And that was the occasion that brought us to meet State Senator Rick Brattin. Earlier this year, proposed legislation that would say, listen, if you're like on a road, a street, a highway, and you're driving and people start to surround your car and get in your way and you fear for you can do something about it. And it's a dang shame that we even had to propose legislation to do that. That's how we got to know State Senator Rick Brattin, reps an area kind of in west central Missouri, now says he wants Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler's seat, 4th Congressional District seat. Of course, she's running for the Senate seat that Roy Blunt is vacating. State Senator Rick Brattin joining us on the show now. First question, what is it that made you decide I want to run for Congress?
Well, I hate to see the state of our nation, where we're going at such a quick pace, and I've been one to don't complain about it, do something about it when you're given that opportunity, and it's not something that I've dreamed of my whole life of going to the swamp in D.C. But I mean, if we don't get true patriots fighting for the cause of freedom, our Constitution. I fear where we're going to be, where we're going to be just in a few years, in my personal opinion. I mean, I have 5 kids, but I fear for our immediate future, not just our 10 years from now. So
sure.
That's why.
So what was really the trigger? I mean, this race, it's crowded already, that. And a lot of people, had made this decision several months back. So, you made your announcement in Columbia yesterday. What was that process like in deciding? And then was there a specific trigger for, yep, I've got to do it?
Well, just seeing the people in the race, I know they're nice and good people, but I think the proven track record of fighting for liberty and freedom, right now we're at a stage where we can't take that gamble of whether you are or you aren't going to be a true fighter for the principles of liberty. I know I have been that and have done that. I have that track record. I have been willing to be the guy that stands alone to actually combat the crazy lunacy of the left. And I just feel that's what people are clamoring for. But it was a tough decision. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't want to leave. I have 5 kids. We have sports. We have a life. The last thing I want to be really doing is going. But at the same time, if we don't send those people, then I fear for where we're going to be. So that's kind of the struggle. It was a big struggle of whether or not I really wanted to engage in this, but I saw no other option.
Yeah, sure.
So that's why.
Yeah, you mentioned your record. So let's talk about legislative priorities. Can you talk about a little bit, the last couple of sessions, what your focus has been on and your time in the House, even, what your main priorities in your service thus far? And then I know we're, 2 weeks out from pre-filing, so what you're looking for in the next session?
Well, I know, when I came into the Senate, the fighting against local tyranny, that was one thing with all the COVID stuff that shook out, the infringement on liberty and everything that occurred with that. And that was my main focus, was to try to fight against government getting involved where it shouldn't get involved in. Our rights don't disappear when certain emergencies arise. And when I was in the House, I came there because I was fed up with what was going on. I didn't feel people were representing the values and really fighting for those values. So when I got to the Missouri House, I noticed, people would campaign on one thing and then they would, govern the opposite way in which they were elected. So that's why I was a co-founder of the Conservative Caucus to try to be that educational force of and really bring that train of thought of the true republic that we are and the principles of liberty, try to bring that to Jefferson City.
All right, we're meeting State Senator Rick Brattin, announcing yesterday in Columbia he wants that 4th Congressional District seat. A couple of things I want to work in real quick here on 93.9 The Eagle. Listener Bob via text, 874-9390, says there's a wreck in front of the hospital. I don't know which hospital. If you let us know, 874-9390, and then Brian will get on that. And then we do have a question off the text, but first Brian has some stuff.
Yeah, I've got 2 questions, Senator. Thank you so much for your time. Again, we're speaking with State Senator Rick Brattin live this morning on Wake Up Columbia. He is from Harrisonville. Senator, it was good to see you yesterday. 2 quick questions. Number 1, redistricting is going to happen for the congressional seats. Obviously, that's going to happen very soon. It's probably too late for the governor to call a special session, but certainly they're going to have to do it in January very quickly. Will Cass County, your home county, be in the 4th next year?
I would assume so. I mean, Vicki Hartzer, the current representative for the 4th, that is her home county. I don't see it's being pulled out of the 4th. But I know it is a gamble because we don't know what the lines are. So we're kind of stepping out on faith on announcing for this. And if that's the case, it gets sucked into the 5th. I mean, there's really, it's kind of out of my hands at that point. But I think the people of Cass County definitely don't want to be drawn into a Cleaver district for sure. But yeah, it's still out there. We don't know.
Reference to Emmanuel Cleaver.
Who's the congressman from the 5th Congressional District and a senior Democrat on the Hill. One other quick thing, and I think it's important to note for our listeners, Senator, and that is the fact that your state Senate district is Barton, Bates, Cass, Henry, Vernon counties. We're talking Nevada, we're talking Lamar, we're talking Harrisonville, Clinton. These were all, when I was growing up, staunchly Democratic areas. As of 20 years ago, all the state lawmakers from those areas were Democrats. They're all represented by Republicans now. Do you have an advantage in this race, Senator, the fact you represent 5 big counties in the district? And will you campaign in all 24 counties? You're going to focus on those 5?
Oh, yeah, I mean, we saw it as a big advantage to answer your first question. That the 31st senatorial district does have about 23 to 24% of the primary votes in the 4th Congressional. So, I mean, that does have a big upper hand. But yeah, we plan on hitting everywhere we possibly can. It is going to be a short time frame, so we're going to get out there, get in front of as many people as we possibly can. I want to ensure that everybody's voice is heard and their concerns are heard as well. So we're going to do our absolute best. I mean, that's the campaign. You got to try to be as many places as you possibly can be, but make your time worthwhile.
Got a question. Incidentally, I just want to make a personal aside. I like that you said, I see people that run for office and then they get into office and they do completely the opposite. One of my biggest frustrations. It's like, say, listen, this is what I'm going to do. And then you go in and you do it. And you don't have to be mean about doing what you're going to. And I look at some of these social issues. People say, yeah, we're going to fix. And then they get into office and say, well, yeah, we need to do this. But that's not what you said. So I appreciate that. Quick question off the text, 874-9390. Jimmy wants to know, what would be one department in the federal government that you would propose to get rid of?
Department of Education comes to mind first and foremost. I have 5 kids, and my wife and I have been involved with the whole dealings with schools, and the last thing we need is federal involvement in something that they should never be involved in. So that's the one that really comes to mind. That's screaming, because especially after this administration And the Department of Justice just came out declaring that parents who are upset with their school boards are domestic terrorists. So I think that'd be a big one.
Hey, Rick, let me ask you this. We know what's happening here locally. We've got one school board in particular. We have officials at this school district, and I won't name the district or the school board. No, there's no CRT isn't. It's not in the curriculum. But we have teachers, fifth grade teachers, bringing in books like Stamp going, I think this would be great for the class to discuss. So it is happening in the schools. They are lying. They are lying to the taxpayers. They are lying to parents to the detriment of little kids. It's a shame what's happening here. And the worst thing about all this, Rick, is that this school district that I'm talking about, they will not communicate with parents. And I've got some response. And I got to tell you, some of these responses I've had from this individual, wrong. They've been flat out wrong, and I'll tell you one of them, so I'm not just talking out of my rear end here, but one of them said, well, we had parents saying, Pledge of Allegiance isn't being said in my class, and I get a statement from the school, it is offered in the classes every morning. No, it's not. I have a letter here, a copy of a letter from another school administrator says, no, it was not happening every day. So that person lied. And then also regarding meetings, the meetings they have for this school district being posted online, said, well, usually they come out. And I want to say, but you're saying that the meeting is posted at this time. It was not posted at the time that you said in your email. And I'm sorry, I don't. Here's what I was going to ask you. What's happening in your neck of the woods in West Central Missouri as it relates to CRT being or not being in the curriculum?
Well, we have the exact same scenario that you're dealing with. We're having combative superintendents and boards not allowing parents to speak out. We are being told that we're not even going to be allowed to even speak about CRT because it's just not even in our curriculum. Yet then parents, send homework assignments that is completely, blatantly CRT at its core. And social emotional learning. That's one that CRT is really embedded in.
So, in other words, it's not happening just here. It's happening because we're here. The national. Oh, CRT is not happening in schools like you're so full of crap. I got to go. Rick Brattin, state senator running for the 4th Congressional District seat. We'll have you on again sometime soon. And thank you for your time this morning. We appreciate you, man.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Senator.
We'll see you. Coming up, What's Hot with Hannah, 725-ish, with emphasis on the ish. What do you got for us today?
I'm sick of your ish. Talking about one celebrity you could invite to Thanksgiving if you could.
All right, some of the popular answers coming up 7.
93.9 The Eagle. Watch the show on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page.
Check it out on YouTube also. You can pop YouTube up on your smart TV in the morning, broadcast it throughout the house. Search 93.9 The Eagle live on YouTube. It's pretty cool. 7:25-ish, which means it's
7:27.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
So I've asked on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page, if you could invite one celebrity to your Thanksgiving dinner, who would it be?
Alive or dead, doesn't matter. Just any celebrity.
I didn't specify.
Okay.
We've gotten a couple answers for deceased folks.
I want to hear the like some of the most popular ones. But first, Stephanie, do you have somebody in mind?
Like what people traditionally think about celebrities.
There's already a weird answer coming. I can tell on this one.
My favorite male celebrity is Matt Damon. I would just love Matt Damon. I don't know why.
To sit and chat with him, or you just want to sit there and eat turkey and gravy and look at him?
Probably
just
the
look
latter.
at him.
Yeah, but my actual my personal celebrity, I would invite Justice Thomas. I've already met. It would be Justice O'Connor, but I've already met her. So
I wished I would have bet Hannah $100 that you were going to say a Supreme Court judge, because I would have won that bet. Hannah, what about you? Who would you like to have dinner with on Thanksgiving?
Probably Melissa McCarthy, just because I think she's hilarious.
She is.
All right. What are people saying on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page?
So a couple people are saying Donald Trump.
Yes.
Robert says that he would invite Christopher Columbus if he could, just to piss people off. Yikes. Our friend Shags from the Morning Shag on KCMQ, he commented and got roasted.
What was his comment?
So he commented and said that he would invite Shags himself.
Okay.
And Bernie responded to him and said, I think you misunderstood. They said famous.
All right.
I know.
Applause for that dude, man.
And here's how you know it was a good burn. Shags didn't respond. Didn't respond at all.
Ouch.
Branden, you have an answer?
Olivia Rodrigo?
No, I'm trying to think. Somebody who would be fascinating conversation. I can't think of anybody.
You had all this time
I know.
to think of an answer.
I would have said Robert De Niro, but I just don't, because he's my favorite actor, but I don't care about people that are in entertainment or sports. I don't care about their political leanings, but Robert De Niro takes it too far where he says just mean things. Brian Hauswirth, actually. I would love, seriously.
He knows so much about politics and sports.
I would love to sit and have Thanksgiving dinner with Brian Hauswirth. What do you got? Put it on our Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. Your ABC 17 Storm Track forecast, sunny and 74 today. Then maybe some rain tomorrow, high 61. Right now, it's 44 degrees. Coming up, Fox News is here. So what did Joe talk about with China's leader yesterday? What might he do today? And then Brian is here. What we know about that officer-involved shooting over the weekend.
Fox News. I'm Chris Foster. President Biden spent more than 3 hours last night on a video call with China's President Xi.
They covered economics in North Korea, and President Biden raised concerns about human rights abuses by China.
All countries have to play by the same rules of the road, why the United States is always going to stand up for our interests and values and those of our allies and partners.
In Washington, Jill Nato, Fox News.
Closing arguments have been made, and a jury in Wisconsin this morning will start deliberating the Kyle Rittenhouse case and whether he lawfully shot 3 people during protests last year.
The prosecutor demonstrating how Rittenhouse held his weapon, putting his own finger on the trigger in the direction of courtroom spectators. The defense rebuking the state's case, arguing they are trying to create a political villain.
Fox's Brooks Singman. Rittenhouse killed 2 men he claims self-defense. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson's saves you time. 44 right now, a beautiful sunrise here in Columbia, 42 degrees in Jefferson City. We're expecting a high today of 74 degrees. It's going to be cooler tomorrow with rain and a high of 61. Good morning, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. Let's start with a quick traffic notice. We've had several calls from listeners about that wreck on Stadium. I just got off the phone with Joint Communications. We did have a wreck within the last 30 minutes to 45 minutes at Stadium and Monk. That is very close to University Hospital. Dispatchers telling me that at least one person has been transported to a hospital. They do believe that accident has been cleared, Stadium and Monk. If it hasn't been, it's in the process of being cleared right now. Stadium and Monk, at least one person transported to a hospital with some injuries. Columbia's police chief crediting the community for helping CPD detectives identify and capture a second suspect in Sunday morning's mass casualty incident outside Vibes Lounge downtown. He is 28-year-old Todd Duran Nesbitt of Columbia. He is jailed without bond. He's charged with first-degree assault and armed criminal action. He was arraigned via video on Monday. The other suspect, according to Chief Jeff Jones, was shot and killed by officers after shooting into a crowd. 5 people were wounded in that incident. Our news partner, ABC 17, has documented 8 shootings in downtown Columbia since September the 18th. 4 of those shootings happening outside of Vibes, all between the hours of 2:30 and 5 a.m. 2 people were shot outside of Vibes on the 18th of September. Columbia City Council has voted to declare the results of this month's special election. It extended the 1/8 of 1% local park sales tax. Measure passed on November 2nd, 7,203 votes in favor, 1,761 votes opposed. And saying our way of life is under attack, a conservative state senator, Republican, has announced his candidacy for West Central Missouri's 4th Congressional District. He is State Senator Rick Brattin. He made his announcement in downtown Columbia Monday, telling reporters he wants to do the best he can to save the Republic.
Because I really, truly feel that we're at the Alamo stage between liberty and freedom, or tyranny and socialism and communism take over in America.
Brattin served 4 terms in the Missouri House from 2011 to 2018, elected to the Senate in 2020. He represents Cass County on the far western side of the 4th Congressional District, which has 24 counties. He just told us on Wake Up Columbia that he is hopeful and believes that the 4th District will continue to keep Cass County in it. We'll find out in January. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you on this Tuesday morning by Dr. Kent Willett Dental Associates. Make an appointment now, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:34. In sports, the Kansas City Roos converting 20 points last night off of turnovers. The Tigers upset in Columbia 80-66 last night. Kobe Brown leading Mizzou. He had 20 points. Mizzou now 1-1 on the year. Huge win for Kansas City. St. Louis Blues hosting Phoenix tonight, 7 o'clock, downtown St. Louis Enterprise Center. Puck will drop at 7 p.m. Our sports is also brought to you this morning by Dr. Kent Willett. Willett Dental Associates. Make an appointment now, 573-445-5300, WillettDentalAssociates.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:35.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit midmohires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Several texts and calls this morning about the wreck in front of, or at least near, if not in front of, University Hospital Stadium and Monk. Again, dispatchers from Joint Communications telling me that one person has been transported. They do believe that wreck has been cleared. Also, Grindstone Parkway. You folks on Grindstone Parkway making your way on northbound Highway 63. That ramp is full of potholes. MoDOT is going to be up and down that ramp all day today and tomorrow trying to repair those potholes and expect some delays. If you want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Let's go, Branden chant. That broke out at a church in San Antonio coming up about 10 minutes from now. Going to give you a chance to win a Let's Go Branden shirt from D Sport Graphics. And it's spelled B-R-A-N-D-E-N. So you can feel safe wearing it in public. You won't get anybody suffering from TDS, Trump Derangement Syndrome, that it will come out and attack you because you're offending them by 3 words in the English language. Let's go, Branden. Your chance to win. Coming up about 7:50 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Pell, Brian Hauswirth, Hannah the producer. I am Branden Rathert. City Councilman, 5th Ward, Matt Pitzer, joining us here on the show. City Council meeting last night. Let's get to this first. I don't feel like there was a whole lot of big, significant stuff that's going to impact people's lives today. But we do got to talk about this officer involved shooting the Reverend James Gray. I respect this guy. We disagree on most things, but we can talk. And he called out some people at this meeting last night, and I am 100% behind this guy. He talked about some people that go, and he didn't mention any names. I know who he was talking about, though. He talked about people that go out and try to say, we're working for the black community when they do nothing except go and speak at meetings and actually probably cause more problems. I know exactly who he's talking about. But I got to tell you, one of the things I appreciated he says, then there are some people that get out on the streets and actually are doing the hardcore work. What did you think about his comments last night, Councilman?
Yeah, well, good morning. I agree. I mean, I think there, needs to be, more work and less talk. We seem to consistently be talking and we're not getting the results that we want. So, so more action, less talk would be helpful. And, we keep having, just on these incidents and stuff that keeps happening downtown. I mean, there's, things that we can do in the short term and that I think we will be doing. There are, areas where people congregate after hours, after the bars and clubs are supposed to be closed and those groups of people and you wind up having, fights and things that break out. We've got police officers who are there. I mean, over the weekend, those officers, they were right there and this happened right in front of them. The shooting 2 weeks ago, I mean, again, they were right there. And they were able to, apprehend that person immediately, stop that situation. So this is not a case where, we don't have cops out, where they're not doing the work. I mean, they're busting their humps. We're asking them to work an incredible amount of overtime on nights and weekends to, try to disrupt this. But, this is happening right where they are, and they're taking, the action that they need to. And what we need to figure out is how we stop those situations, from sort of happening, and whether that's, looking at, the bars and the clubs and what they're doing, if they're complying with their liquor license and they're complying with all the laws about when they have to shut down, when they have to get people out. We need to have more lights in the streets and things like that just to disperse some of those crowds and make sure that these things aren't happening, then that's what we need to be doing in the short term.
And I'm of the belief that, ultimately, listen, this happens all the time, whether it's a murder or a shooting. Once in a while, a bunch of local leaders, they go out and they march around downtown with signs, stop the violence, stop the killing, and they get on the TV, please, we got to stop killing each other. And then it goes right back to business as usual. And that leads me to believe there are some things, like you said, Matt, there's some things we can do as far as physical enforcement in that area. But there are some of these things, it's the way people behave and changing behavior and lifestyle. That is a monumental task that you just don't bring up in the city council and say, here's what we're going to do. We're going to throw money at this.
Right, yeah, and I don't even know how to do that. I don't know that anybody knows how to do that. And if you do, it's a 30-year process, right, of having, like, new generations, grow up and with learning that and respecting that. So yeah, you're right. I mean, these things happen, and then we wind up talking and meeting and all this stuff. But, as the mayor said at his press conference on Sunday morning, the people who are doing the shooting, they're not going to be at any of those meetings. And they're not going to be involved in any of those conversations.
And talking, and on the streets talking to people. And I'll go to Demetrius Woods, who was on the show yesterday. I'm guessing you're familiar with his work. He was he was a gang member a lot. He was the guy in Columbia, years in prison, got out with the help of some local lawmakers. This guy, he's a small local business owner now, and as people like this guy, Matt, he's out on the streets. He's engaging with people. He's giving people jobs and trying to show them, hey, listen, I'm talking from experience. I did what you're doing right now, and here's what happened to me. It's people like that, I think, that you're referring to, Matt, people that are doing something on street level.
Right, yeah, and if there are things that we can do, as a city council to enable more of that, then I'm all for that, and let's do that. But I just worry that we're going to have another whole round of meetings and discussions among people who aren't doing that. But just like you said, out saying, stop the violence, stop this, stop that. But then, we're not going to see the follow-on effect.
And I'll go back and then I'll move forward because Brian Hauswirth has some questions for our City Councilman Matt Pitzer on 93.9 The Eagle this morning, talking about last night's City Council meeting, officer-involved shooting. Shelby Steele, as a name I think a lot of us are familiar with. This guy is he's spent his life dedicated to civil rights. This guy has medals hanging around his neck because of the work that he has done to fight true racism. He's a filmmaker. He was on the show earlier this year, and he's a black man, and he said the worst thing that's ever happened to us are these social service programs. These socials giving us money, telling us we ain't smart enough to do it on our own. Don't worry about it. We'll just keep giving you money, and that's coming from somebody who has been in it. I respect what he's saying, not because he's black, but because he's been there. He's dedicated his entire life to fighting this stuff. He knows what he's talking about. He says, whether you're talking about crime, being poor, whatever, he says, yeah, as you said, Mr. Pitzer, it's not going to happen overnight.
Thank you so much, Branden. Councilman Brian Hauswirth, I appreciate you joining us live on Wake Up Columbia. KMIZ did a story last night. I don't know if you saw it on television, but it's up. The transcript is on their website. And they interviewed the sister of the, she identified herself as the sister of the one suspect who was shot and killed by police after the incident at Vibes, and she's critical of the police. She said her brother, as far as she knows, did not own a gun, but she said that she wants to hold the officers accountable. And this is what she said on television, quote, "They are," talking about CPD, "they are the biggest gang here, and then it's like no one can stop them because they have badges and so many people behind them. One thing about it after this is I want our community to come together. We need to stop letting them get over on us." End of quote. Again, those comments made last night by the sister on Channel 17. Councilman, your reaction?
Well, I just know that, because the officers, were on the scene and because they reacted the way they did, they prevented, a much worse situation, from escalating. I mean, there were two people, from my understanding of it, who were shooting at each other in a larger crowd of people. And, the police took the action that they needed to stop that situation before more people were injured. And, I know that there's going to be a complete investigation done by the State Patrol and all of that. I think that, we'll probably, come to understand a little bit more about the situation and the individual who was shot and how, he might have come to acquire, weapons and things like that. So I just commend, the officers for the work that they, have been doing, not just then, but, like I said, they're out there every weekend, trying to de-escalate these situations, prevent them from happening. And when things start right in front of them, literally right in front of them, they're taking the steps that they need to prevent it from being worse and prevent more people from being injured.
City Councilman Matt Pitzer, 93.9 The Eagle. Anything else you want to add as far as last night's City Council meeting or anything to be of service to citizens of Columbia before we let you go this morning?
No, I think that's about it. Thanks for having me on.
All right, Matt Pitzer, thank you. And, of course, if there's ever anything you need, please let us know. And if we can help, Brian will be more than happy to do that for you. Good morning. All right, here's your chance to win a Let's Go Branden shirt. It's Branden from D-Sport Graphics. Branden, spelled B-R-A-N-D.
Ian.
So you feel safe wearing it out in public because we know those folks suffer from TDS. We know what they'll do. We're going to play the Who Dat Nation game. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to play some audio. All you have to do is tell us who dat. If you're the first caller with the correct answer, we are hooking you up with a Let's Go Branden shirt from 93.9 The Eagle and D-Sport Graphics. D-Sport Graphics, they'll even customize one for you if you want to go there and buy one. Or you can win one here. Who dat?
And now it's my honor to sign an executive order And a couple of my friends are going to be coming out here, I'm told, cabinet members. But, here we go. Where is everybody? Jill.
Nobody came out. Poor dude. He's standing at the podium. He's saying, we're going to sign this. We're ready, man.
Cabinet members. But, here we go. Where is everybody?
He's turning around looking at him because nobody comes back. Who would add if you're the first one with the correct answer? 874-9390. 874-9390. We're going to hook you up with a Let's Go Branden shirt from 90.
All of us hip folks are watching Wake Up Columbia on Facebook. Are you? 93.9 The Eagle.
Please welcome Heather Kurtenbach.
In a moment.
So context is what happened there. That's the White House voice guy, I guess. I didn't know the White House had a voice guy. Like, you hear our station voice guy who says, 93.9 The Eagle and all that good stuff. Well, I didn't know. So, this is our voice guy.
Columbia news, analysis, opinion, and Hannah. Sorry, blew it. Here we go. Wake Up Columbia.
So that's what you call your station voice guy. I didn't know the White House had a voice guy.
Please welcome Heather Kurtenbach.
Problem was, who was standing at the podium?
Kamala. Also, with this White House, why is it a voice guy? Why can't we have a voice gal?
Yes, dear. Right now, we're giving you a chance to win a Let's Go Branden shirt. D-Sport Graphics, man. They put these together. You call D-Sport Graphics. People were asking. We posted pictures on the Wake Up Columbia Facebook page. People said, oh, my God, where'd you get that shirt from? D-Sport Graphics, man. They're in downtown. Who Dat Nation, we're going to play some audio. All you have to do is tell us who Dat, 874-9390. We're going to hook you up with one of these Let's Go Branden shirts. And we've spelled Branden on the shirt so you feel safer wearing it out in public, because we've seen people lose jobs here. We've seen people get in trouble over, say, Peloton. Apparently, you can't hashtag on Peloton. Let's go, Branden.
What?
They're like, seriously.
I haven't tried that yet.
GTS it, man. It's a true story. People are just, they're just so. But we've spelled this shirt, the Let's Go Branden shirt, BRANDEN. So you feel safe wearing it out in public. All right. Who dat?
And now it's my honor to sign an executive order, and a couple of my friends are going to be coming out here, I'm told. Cabinet members, but here we go. Where is everybody?
Okay, more context. Joe's at the podium in this room, and you see all these Zoom screens behind him, and we're getting ready to sign this historic piece of legislation. Well, I just gave it away, didn't I?
Joe's at the podium, and he's confused.
Paul, sorry. Yeah, he's confused. Paul, welcome to the show. How are you, bud?
I'm alive and well.
Amen. We are glad to hear it. So I just completely gave away, that was not my intent, just gave away who that was. But who that?
Oh, I had the right answer when I called in. That's Papa Joe, a.k.a. Big Daddy.
Paul, congratulations, man. We've got a Let's Go Branden shirt for you from D-Sport Graphics in 93.9.
Best gift I've ever gotten in a whole year.
Man, it's got the Eagle 93.9 logo on it, and it's spelled Branden.
I'm going to wear it out.
I hope you do. And send pictures to us, okay?
Immediately, and I'm wearing it to church this Sunday to test the political tolerance.
Amen. Do it. Please. I'm serious. Paul, I'm serious.
Well, politics doesn't belong in the church, and I'm just wearing a T-shirt. So
you're just wearing a T-shirt.
Start it up, man.
You're wearing a T-shirt it's not political. It's saying, let's go, Branden. Wake Up Columbia with Branden. You're rooting on your favorite morning show.
Go team.
It's not political. Paul, we love you. Thanks for being a part of the Wake Up Columbia family. So Joe Biden in this audio here, he's, all the people are here, a momentous occasion.
And a couple of my friends are going to be coming out here, I'm told, cabinet members. But, here we go. Where is everybody?
That's embarrassing.
And if we could find if we post it, because it's as goodish, it's as delicious as you think it is, because he's standing there at the podium, and now, welcome my team. And he does that turnaround, and there's nobody there. Nathan wants to know via text, did Stephanie just assume that the voice person from the White House even identifies with a gender?
Oh,
Teresa. Oh, I love this text from Teresa. Thanks for a great show to start my day. We appreciate that. Robin Moberly sending, we've seen this all over, gas pumps.
Oh, someone wrote in Sharpie. I've seen the sticker. But this one, someone wrote in Sharpie, "Thanks, Joe."
I love it. Fox News. So that's what Joe did yesterday. There's a rundown of what happened yesterday. What might he do today? Fox has a story at 8 o'clock. Nanette Ward is here at 8:10.
Self-defense or not? I'm Pam Puso, Fox News. That's what a jury in Wisconsin will have to figure out. Kyle Rittenhouse shot 3 people in Kenosha last year during violent anti-police protests. 2 of them died.
He's a chaos tourist. He was there to see what was going on, act important, be a big deal. And then the moment a little bit of that chaos comes back at him, he cowardly shoots a man.
Prosecutor James Krause, the defense says Rittenhouse did what he had to.
Kyle was not an active shooter. That is a buzzword that the state wants to lash onto because it excuses the actions of that mob.
Attorney Mark Richards, 500 National Guard members are on standby. As 6 teenagers recover from gunshot wounds, police in Aurora, Colorado are looking for the people who did it. Police say bullets were fired from multiple weapons near a high school. New Hampshire today, Michigan tomorrow. President Biden is heading out to promote a $1 trillion infrastructure plan that he signed yesterday.
Despite the cynics, Democrats and Republicans can come together and deliver results. We can do this.
Up next for Democrats, a larger proposal of social safety nets that every Republican opposes.
Democrats are pulling numbers out of their hind end to try to make it stick, to say that somehow this budget balances, but it doesn't balance. It's a huge tax increase.
House Republican James Comer. An American journalist is back on U.S. soil after months of captivity in Burma. Danny Fenster was released days after being sentenced to 11 years in prison. He was detained after a military coup earlier this year. His freedom secured by former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson. America's listening to Fox News.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03, 46 degrees right now in Columbia. Pleasant conditions. It's going to be warm. Our high today, 74. Chance of rain during the overnight hours with a low near 53. And the outlook for tomorrow, rain and a high of 61 degrees. Good morning, everyone. The MU Healthcare says its pediatric emergency team at Women's and Children's Hospital on Keene will be moving to University Hospital sometime this morning. MU Health says parking will be offered in University Hospital's parking lot in front of the emergency entrance. That relocation, one of the first steps toward creating a centralized hospital campus. You'll recall that MU Health broke ground in October on a $232 million new children's hospital project. Again, if your children need emergency care, pediatric emergency care, you will be taking them as of this morning to University Hospital as opposed to the Women's and Children's Hospital after they move over a little bit later this morning. Second suspect in that deadly weekend incident outside Vibes in downtown Columbia has been captured by CPD. 28-year-old Todd Duran Nesbitt is jailed without bond this morning. He's been charged with first-degree assault, armed criminal action. Arraigned on Monday, online court records show Nesbitt has previous misdemeanor convictions: drugs, driving while revoked, resisting arrest, domestic assault. Nesbitt also charged with felony domestic assault in July. He was released after posting a $5,000 bond. CPD's investigation into the Vibes incident continues. Columbia police are working to boost foot patrols downtown. They're also considering an expansion of camera systems.
Columbia police are also working to clear traffic congestion on Broadway that's caused by illegal parking and other issues, which CPD says may lead to disturbances. Chief Jeff Jones describes downtown Columbia as a vibrant space. Our news partner, ABC 17, has documented 8 shootings in downtown Columbia since mid-November. Victims were struck by gunfire in 4 of those 8 shootings. Don Luzader, 93.9 The Eagle.
In Fulton, police are continuing a homicide investigation after a man's body is found in Stinson Creek. Authorities are urging anyone with information about the death to contact them immediately. The victim in this case has ties to mid-Missouri as well as the state of Wisconsin. City officials are expecting a proposed new fire station in Northeast Columbia to respond to about 1,000 calls for service annually. Fire station will be built at St. Charles and East Richland Roads. The council has set a December public hearing for the project. They did so last night. Columbia voters approving the project in a 2015 capital improvement sales tax extension. And Sonic wants to build a new restaurant at the vacant Kentucky Fried Chicken location. That issue came up as well during last night's meeting. The issue will be voted on, expected to be voted on, at the next meeting in December. 93.9 The Eagle News is presented to you this hour by the Callaway Bank. The Callaway Bank has a dedicated customer care team. They get you the help you need and deserve. The Callaway Bank is with you for the moments that matter. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 8:06. Turning our attention now to sports, the Missouri Tiger men's basketball team falling to 1-1 on the year. They lose to Kansas City last night at Mizzou Arena, 80-66. The Roos getting 20 points off of Mizzou turnovers, so Mizzou falls in that game. Hockey, the Blues at home tonight. They'll take on the Coyotes of Phoenix. That game will start at 7 o'clock tonight. That game will be at Enterprise Center, downtown St. Louis. Our sports brought to you by Woods Basement Systems, the most reviewed contractor for all things with your basement. 800-388-9326, a free estimate. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 8:07. All right, thanks so much. Our weather also is brought to you this morning by Woods Basement Systems, 800-388-9326, a free estimate, 46 degrees.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Things are quiet on the roads right now. We had an accident about an hour or so ago. Stadium in Monk. One person transported to an area hospital. Don't know the extent of the injuries in that accident, if anything serious, but they were transported. The accident has since been cleared up. If you do want to report a traffic issue, call or text us 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle. Thank you.
I don't see how anybody can say that this judge is not biased and is not leaning in a certain direction. I think that the behavior of the judge in totality is the problem.
This judge is an absolute joke.
Clearly, this guy has biases that are affecting the administration of this case.
I completely agree from my observation that the judge is entirely biased.
The judge is making it pretty much impossible for the jury to actually consider all the facts and come up with a verdict where justice will be served.
Your Honor, do you agree with the assessment from a lot of these national news outlets referring to the judge in the Rittenhouse trial? Deliberations begin today. A lot has been made of the actions of the judge, but I see they're already coming out with the excuse, well, if this kid is set free, it's the judge's fault. I don't know. I know he's definitely drawn a lot of attention to it, and I like some of the frankness from the guy, but that's just as a casual observer. I'm not an attorney. I'm not a judge. I don't know. I can't speak to the legal things that have been taking place.
I haven't watched all of the ins and outs of the trial. I do think people, he has been very transparent, very frank, and sometimes it's almost seemed kind of agitated. I do think there have been errors from the prosecution, and in some instances that I've watched that he's been rightfully agitated. I think, any judge that's in that situation with a high-profile trial has to be, under a lot of stress, under a lot of pressure, and whatever the verdict is, I think it's going to be, the right thing. I think people are going to point the finger at the judge. I don't think that's going to be it. I think it's going to be, I think it's going to be the correct result.
And I was going to say, either way, it'll probably be fun, but I hope it's not, actually. I really don't want that. Welcome into Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell, Brian Hauswirth, Hannah, the producer. I am Branden Rathert. Meanwhile, this just on the heels of a very high-profile local case that got national attention. Murder case, Joseph Elledge, convicted of murdering his wife, Mungshi G. Right now, pre-sentence investigation going on. Determine what his sentence is going to be. One of the things we've learned in that trial sounded like there was the potential for a lot of domestic abuse that was happening, and it got me to thinking, so this was going on, and based on what we heard in testimony and things like that, it sounds like people were aware that this was going on. What do you do in that situation? I don't know, but Nanette Ward, Stop Human Trafficking Coalition of Central Missouri, who does phenomenal work throughout the state, whether it's human trafficking, employee trafficking, sex trafficking, slavery. It is, I guess, this is modern day slavery. There are more slaves today than at any point in American history, if we're equating slavery with human trafficking. But Nanette, in that situation, kind of like in the Joseph Elledge trial, or in any case, it sounded like people knew what was going on in their apartment, and it continued to go on. What do we do? Let's say I'm at work and I hear, hey, somebody's maybe having an issue at home. I don't even know how to get involved, Nanette.
That, of course, starting with the hardest question of all, because it is such a risky thing to get involved. It is people's private business is how they perceive it. On the other hand, when you feel like someone's in danger, you feel like you have to take some sort of action. But it's possible to at least call and have a well check done on individuals if you're concerned for their safety or well-being. But it is unfortunate. We typically, as a culture, feel like we've got to stay out of people's personal business.
Yeah.
And really that puts people in harm's way, continue to be in harm's way.
And I get that. That can be a tough call sometime. You know, you decide, okay, so-and-so, I know something's going on. Is it my business? Do I get involved? To what extent do I get involved? I don't think there's any easy answers to those questions. But besides the obvious, because here's the other thing I'm thinking, maybe people don't know sometimes. I think that's another commonality. Well, nobody knew it was going on. Have you learned over the years, are there a couple of, common behavior patterns that we can look at? Somebody that might be a victim of domestic abuse, but it's not, overt. For example, showing up to work with a black eye. Are there other ways that you might be able to tell that somebody is a victim of domestic violence?
You mean other than the outward?
Yeah.
Yeah. When someone might seem like their life and time is controlled by someone else, when they're fearful of maybe being gone too long and have to get back, or afraid to dress a certain way or act a certain way, any things that would indicate that they feel like their life isn't their own, which can sound like a lot of different things.
Nanette Ward, Stop Human Trafficking Coalition, Central Missouri, is hanging out with us this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. And I think it's really easy to assume, well, what kind of is she displaying? Any type of patterns of behavior? What is she going through? She doesn't have, let's not forget, and I'll point to my own story, and I only mention it. My dad has always said it's cool, and it's part of my story. My dad, for years, was a victim of domestic violence at the hands of my mom. Now, this was back, and it happens. It happens, so don't think we're just talking about women. And for years, I've talked to my dad about this over the years, Nanette. He said, Branden, just domestic violence, period. Kind of hard to come forward and talk about. He says, can you imagine a man in the 70s coming out and saying, hey, my wife is beating me? It's hard to do. Yeah, and it's hard to do in 2021. Still, culturally, there are things that make it more difficult, both to report any kind of abuse, if it's sex trafficking or, domestic abuse, domestic violence. It is difficult, unfortunately. We tend to think, look, we have domestic violence shelters for women. Mm-hmm. We have domestic violence shelters for men. So, there's a sense just generally like, oh, well, I don't need that kind of thing. I'm supposed to have to figure this out, or who's going to believe me? Because typically it is seen as the woman being abused. So there's so many things that get in the way, both in domestic violence and in sex trafficking for the males, whether they're young men or adults, children. It's very difficult. There is a sense that they should just figure it out. And we have some great resources, I think, of True North, for example, for victims of domestic violence. But that brings up a good point. Let's say there's a guy listening right now, a man, who is a victim of domestic violence. So let's say it's a woman. I can call True North. I can go wherever. Where does a man go who's a victim of domestic violence? I couldn't even tell you where there's a shelter in Missouri, but I would start with calling a domestic violence shelter. That at least there are people who are understanding. People who would believe, people who understand that there are male victims as well as female victims. All right. Nanette Ward, Stop Human Trafficking Coalition, Mid-Missouri. Before we let you go, I wanted to mention this. I've seen you give numerous presentations. If you ever have the opportunity, whether it's through like a Boone County or a Columbia Pachyderm meeting or a Mule Skinner meeting or any kind of organization, and they bring in Nanette Ward, do yourself a favor and go and listen to what she has to say, because in my time of knowing her on the show here for, gosh, over 6 years now, I never cease to be dumbfounded at some of the things that happen. And I've only got 1 minute here, Nanette, but one of the things you said recently, and I want to make sure I've got this right, there is more slavery in America today than any time in our history.
So the estimated number of slaves in modern times is over 40 million. And so when you think of transatlantic slavery, there were not those numbers of slaves at that time. And so, yes, worldwide, it's the second largest criminal industry. So the exploitation of the commodification of human beings is second only to the profit made out of off the illegal sale of drugs. The illegal sale of persons is second only to the illegal sale of drugs.
And when we talk about human trafficking, is it because I evolved on this thinking, and I got to credit you. Every time I heard the phrase human trafficking, I immediately thought sex trafficking, and that's just not the case.
So I know you're saying employee trafficking, but it's labor trafficking. Which is it is the exploitation of the person who's hired them, the employer. So certainly there are, if we have labor instances, it might be someone on a construction crew or working in a restaurant, washing dishes. We don't know if those are victims of labor trafficking. But also just want to say quickly, we're talking about domestic violence, and, our lane is human trafficking. But there is an intersection. That's why this is important to address that. There can be people who are victims of domestic violence, male or female, as you pointed out, who could also be a victim of trafficking. The only difference is that there's something of value being received by the person who's the abuser or the exploiter. So that could mean, there could be domestic violence in the home, and the abuser could also be forcing them to, for example, have sex with a friend, and they get money or they get drugs or they get something of value. That's the only difference, and that crosses over into sex trafficking.
All right, Nanette Ward, I got to get going here. If you ever get the opportunity to see Nanette Ward from the Stop Human Trafficking Coalition of Mid-Missouri do a presentation, you should do it. Nanette, God bless you for the work you do, and thank you for your time this morning.
Thank you.
All right, 874-9390. 874-9390. Coming up, we've got the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell, kind of that...
Tiffany Bell?
Yeah, okay, I caught that too. Hannah is my conscience. Sometimes I'll say things and I'm like, maybe I heard that wrong, but if Hannah's going,
That was close, but not quite.
Stephanie Bell.
Thank you.
There you go. Good job.
Good work, Branden.
Proud of you.
You and Joe both did really good work today. Here's a gold star.
Morning Bell, business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you. What do you got for us this morning?
Some folks on Twitter and tech people are doing something new to own a piece of U.S. history, and I'm excited about it.
All right. How do you own a piece of U.S. history?
putting the fun in dysfunctional. Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle.
You're listening to Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle with Branden Rathert, Brian Hauswirth, producer Handa, and my mom.
I love it. Which one is that?
That's Amelia. She's 7.
She's our new voice guy here at 93.9 The Eagle. Check this out. We're doing something really cool. I wanted to tell you about this. I want to brag on Culligan Water a little bit. Love Columbia and Common Ground in Jefferson City. And some folks like Shepherd's Distributing, Missouri Vein Care. We're all kind of teaming up for our holiday wish. Now, we do, all the stuff that Zimmer Radio Group does around the holidays. We're doing this, too. Go to our website. We just want to help specific families, and maybe you can help. Maybe you know somebody who could use, a reason to smile during the holidays. Go to our website, 939theeagle.com, and you can find more information on our holiday wish. It's 8:26, time for the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell. Business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Okay. You're going to have to try to stick with me because I have a hard time understanding.
Hannah, are you listening so I can rely on...
And so it's tech heavy, but I think I have a grasp of this.
Okay.
Okay, so there are, I think, 13 copies of the U.S. Constitution. Did you know that? I didn't know that.
Didn't know that.
There is only one that is still under private ownership. It is going to Sotheby's on Thursday for auction. They think it is going to auction for something like $20 million. And so some folks got together and formed a DAO, which is some sort of like I looked it up. It's an autonomous organization, but people on the Twitter and the internet. And they are now gathering, I think it's called like something that starts with an E, but it's a form of cryptocurrency to try to come together where like hundreds of thousands of people come together, all donate some of their crypto, and then they make a bid for this, the only copy of the U.S. Constitution like you could ever buy. And so if you have Web3 or the cryptocurrency, I think essentially it's not like shares, but in my mind, I kind of think like you could buy a share and then they're going to make a play for the U.S. Constitution. And it's kind of going viral. So the Twitter handle is @ConstitutionDAO. And the auction is on Thursday. And so all of these, so now they've raised in like a week, they've raised, and I think it's kind of started out as a joke, and they've raised about $5 million so far. And yeah, then you would like have a part and you'd vote like what they would do with the Constitution, whether they would display it, whether it would go on tour, because you would be like a part owner of this Constitution. And as like a history nerd and a Constitution nerd, I'm like very tempted to figure out whatever this is so I can buy in and say that I own a portion of the Constitution.
Is it just me, or why did we sell these copies in the first place?
I don't think we sold. We're going to have to do more research. I don't know that we sold them.
Was it Nicolas Cage? Isn't that what he stole?
There are a lot of Nicolas Cage memes in this Twitter feed.
And who did the copies back then?
Oh, I think I said 13. I think there's only 11. I think they hand copied. So it's not the original, but somebody I think rewrote. So there's 11 copies. But there's no copy machine, so it's just people rewriting the Constitution. I wonder if it looks the same.
Ye Old Wit Print Shop on Vanderbilt, Columbia, in business since 1774. God.
So cryptocurrency, if you want in, got 2 more days, I guess. So I'm going to figure it out.
That's the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell here on 93.9 The Eagle. What's Joe up to today? Fox is on this here at 8:30. Brian Hauswirth is here. The next person who wants to wrap us in the 4th U.S. Congressional District, who is that? Brian has that story coming up at 8:31.
Foster. The jury for the Kyle Rittenhouse trial in Wisconsin is about to start deliberations. Fox's Alexis McAdams is in Kenosha.
The Illinois teenager is on trial for shooting 3 men, killing 2 during the unrest in Kenosha following the police shooting of Jacob Blake. The prosecution explaining that Kyle Rittenhouse provoked the bloodshed during the unrest in Kenosha. The prosecutor is even holding up an AR-15 for the court.
Rittenhouse claims self-defense. President Biden travels today for a speech about the infrastructure spending bill he has now signed into law.
President Biden is headed to Woodstock, New Hampshire to tout the new bipartisan infrastructure bill at an event at the Woodstock Bridge, an 82-year-old structure over the Pemigewasset River. It's been on the state's red list of bridges in poor condition since 2013.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers. Retail sales up 1.7% last month, with Americans buying more furniture, cars, and appliances than before the coronavirus pandemic. America's listening to Fox News.
And now, award-winning news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
93.9 The Eagle News with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. Our time is 8:31. It is a gorgeous morning here in mid-Missouri. Sun is shining brightly in Columbia. We're expecting a high today of around 74. Partly cloudy tonight with a low near 53 degrees. 49 right now in Columbia. Good morning, everyone. Columbia's police chief credits the community for helping detectives identify and capture a second suspect in Sunday morning's mass casualty incident outside Vibes Lounge downtown. 28-year-old Todd Duran Nesbitt of Columbia is charged with first-degree assault and ACA, armed criminal action. He was arraigned via video on Monday. He's jailed without bond. Fulton police need your help in solving a brutal homicide. Detectives say 26-year-old Donald Simmons' body was found in a creek early Monday morning. He had been shot multiple times. Police tell 93.9 The Eagle Simmons has ties to mid-Missouri, also to the state of Wisconsin. Detectives are urging anyone who has information, who had contact or even saw Simmons in the last 72 hours to call Crime Stoppers. You can remain anonymous. 573-592-2474 is that phone number. Columbia City Council votes to declare the results of this month's special election. It extended the 1/8 of 1% local park sales tax. Measure passed November 2nd. 7,203 votes in favor. 1,761 votes are opposed. In saying our way of life is under attack, a conservative Republican state senator has announced his candidacy for West Central Missouri's 4th Congressional District seat. He is Harrisonville State Senator Rick Brattin. He made the announcement in downtown Columbia, telling reporters he wants to do the best he can to save the republic.
Because I really, truly feel that we're at the Alamo stage between liberty and freedom, or tyranny and socialism and communism take over in America.
Brattin served 4 terms in the Missouri House from 2011 to 2018 before being elected to the state Senate in 2020. He replaced Ed Emery in that district, West Central Missouri. That district includes Nevada. It also includes Barton County. Clinton is in that district as well, along with Harrisonville. The seat is being vacated by Congresswoman Vicky Hartzler, who's running for the Senate. We asked the senator if Cass will stay in the 4th district, which also includes Columbia, and he says he is hopeful that it will. He notes Congresswoman Hartzler is from the Harrisonville area as well. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction. Homes and lots in the southwest neighborhoods, Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, Creek's Edge. 93.9 The Eagle News time, 8:34. In sports, the Kansas City Roos converted 20 points off of turnovers last night. They beat the Tigers in Columbia 80-66. Mizzou on the year now 1-1. Blues host Phoenix tonight, 7 o'clock. Enterprise Center puck drops at 7 o'clock. Our sports is also brought to you this morning by Hemi Construction. Homes and lots, Chapel Hill Meadows, Nursery Heights, Creek's Edge in Columbia. It's 8:34.
Eagle Eye Traffic.
Traffic check with MidmoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Visit MidmoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads have been pretty quiet in the Columbia area. We had a few fender benders this morning in the area. Stadium and Monken accident, 1 person transported. Just a reminder, 9 to 3 today and tomorrow, and you will see backups, at least some backups. Try to avoid the area. Grindstone coming on to northbound 63, that ramp, a number of potholes, other issues with that road, and they will be working to smooth that all day today and tomorrow. Avoid the area if at all possible. If you want to report a traffic issue, give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Americans really aren't happy with this vice president, Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris has an approval rating of 28%, which makes no sense because she basically has nothing to do. I mean, it's like criticizing a backup quarterback. Tom Brady's okay. I don't love the way Blaine Gabbert has his legs folded on the bench. I have to be honest. Kamala's approval rating of 28% is even.
How awesome is that? Blaine Gabbert, former Mizzou quarterback, getting some love, kind of, on the Jimmy Kimmel show.
Very interesting. No, I didn't hear that, but it is interesting, and an interesting comparison. What I remember about Gabbert is the upset against Oklahoma, 2010, which was just absolutely a huge game. If Oklahoma wasn't, they may have been 1 in one poll, maybe they were 3 in another, but it was huge. And he's a backup, but yet he's been in the league since 2011. That's pretty impressive. He's a local guy from Baldwin.
You know how much a backup quarterback makes in the NFL?
I can't imagine.
I'll take it.
Oh.
I'll be a backup. I'll sit on the bench.
All the girlfriends that he wants, is that? I honestly don't know. Is it a lot?
I don't know.
That I don't know.
Free food, free athletic gear for sure, free travel.
Oh, for sure on that. He's 32. I don't know about girlfriends and stuff, but I do.
Or boyfriends, whatever your fancy.
I do know, basically, when you see him on TV, he's carrying a clipboard, but he was a really good quarterback at Mizzou. He really was. He did he was only, I want to say 2 years, the quarterback, as I recall. But yeah, he was good. But I'm glad he got some love on the show last night.
And then Kimmel was kind enough to explain why Kamala Harris's approval ratings are so low. They're worse than Joe's.
Lower than the 30% who approved of Dick Cheney in 2008 after he shot a guy in the face.
All right, that's kind of funny, too. That's a good callback.
I think these people are forgetting that at least 10% of those polled approved of Dick Cheney because he shot a guy in the face. I think I know why Kamala's ratings are low, besides sexism and racism.
Sexism and racism. She's a black chick, so you can't criticize her. That's why her poll numbers are so low, because people are racist and sexist, according to the world, according to Jimmy.
Not because she's been hiding under a rock and lying about going to the border and laughing at serious problems or any, personally, if there was a white male who was doing the same thing, I'd be pretty gosh darn angry, and my disapproval rating would be pretty high.
As a matter of fact, so yesterday there was a great piece on CNN about discord between the vice president's office and Joe Biden's office. And even Jen Psaki, I think, was trying to put out a tweet to say, oh, no, we're good here. And I think she may have missed the mark a little bit.
Yeah, it was very bizarre. It was like a late night, was it Sunday night tweet? And she said, hey, just for anyone wondering. And it was basically like, hey, we've heard all the rumors just to, just to clear the air. The vice president and the president are partners, and we support the vice president in doing her important work. And it mentions things that she's totally failed on. So it was a crazy tweet.
And this struck me. So yesterday, everybody makes a mistake at work personally. We're all human beings. Sometimes we make mistakes, not that big of a deal. Try not to let it happen again. But so I'm thinking, okay, this was just a mistake by the White House yesterday. And I thought, oh, you know what? I wonder if it has something to do with that report from CNN. saying basically, when I say there's discord between the president's office and the vice president's office, I don't think I'm selling it properly. I think it was more like they just don't like Kamala.
Well, and here's more of a conspiracy theory is people think, that Biden's not really running the show, that there are these establishment Democrat folks that are using him as a puppet. And, they were thinking maybe he won't run in 4 years and Kamala would, come up and then run. And now they've realized she's a disaster and she cannot win. And so now they're trying, the establishment folks are not, it's not necessarily Biden, but the same people who are kind of leading Biden are now trying to, tank her because they don't want her to be the next candidate. They want someone else. So we'll see.
Yesterday, White House has a voice guy. I didn't know that. They have their own announcer. Let me set the scene here for you a little bit. So when I first heard this, I'm like, yeah, so what? They made a mistake. But then I was like, oh yeah, that report Stephanie and I were talking about on CNN. Let me set the scene here. Kamala standing at the podium. She's looking prepared to deliver some remarks.
Please welcome Heather Kurtenbach.
Whoops.
That
was not Heather Kurtenbach, who's some activist. So after 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds of awkward silence.
In a moment.
That laugh when Kamala gets uncomfortable. So I'm wondering, was that intentional? Did Joe go over to the White House voice guy? It'd be like, Brian's doing play-by-play for basketball. And I come up to Brian on the sideline and said, Brian, here's $20. Why don't you slip in a plug for Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle? I'm wondering, did Joe go over to the White House voice guy and say, hey, $10 if you mess this up?
I mean, he should have been able to see her from where he was. I've been embarrassed before because I was actually at the Capitol introducing some statewide elected official. I can't remember who it was. And I announced them, and they weren't there yet because we were running a really tight ship, and they were in those doors behind the dais. And so I thought everyone was lined up ready to go. And I was like, and now we're going to have so-and-so, and then they weren't there, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is horrible. But at the time, I couldn't see. I was told everyone was there, and I should have checked, but I couldn't see. But this guy should be in a position to where he's, and I would imagine, I mean, anybody who's there is under tight security. There's like a crazy agenda. There's probably a script. I mean, I think, so all of those signs are pointing to what you're saying is that it probably was intentional.
Who was it that here asked the very much respected politician who is in a wheelchair who asked him to stand up here? Was that Joe that did that here in Missouri?
That was actually in, as I recall, that was in Jeff City at Memorial Park. I'm going off of memory on that. It was 2008. But yes, yes, that would have been him.
You ever been embarrassed announcing mistakes?
Sure, and I mean I think to let people know though, as I recall, I wasn't there for that. Yeah. As I recall, it was a big crowd, and right.
He didn't know.
He clearly didn't know. It was awkward, but he didn't know.
So one of my stories announcing, I don't know if I've told this story, and it has to do with Michael Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually found an audition tape you did to be the station's new voice guy.
Crap. Tough, sophisticated, professional, cool. The man's man. Where did you get that from?
Well, you were working in one of our, what we call prod studios here at the Zimmer headquarters. And you didn't close out of the project you were working on. And so when I went in to record something, I had all this beautiful audio that was just at my disposal.
Nice.
I saved it.
So I have an embarrassing when I was announcing years ago. By the way, this is Wake Up Columbia, 93.9 The Eagle. Brian Hauswirth, Stephanie Bell, Hannah, the producer. I'm actually embarrassed right now. We're getting ready to give away a Let's Go Branden t-shirt. Branden, B-R-A-N-D. E-N. What are you so upset for, Hannah? Hannah just somebody popped her balloon. And it's Branden, spelled B-R-A-N-D.
E-N.
So anyhow, this guy sends a text, and his name is Eric, and Eric is kind of a little chihuahua on my heels sometimes, but I appreciate it because he listens. But usually he's trolling, he's fishing, and usually he gets me. I'll respond. This is what's embarrassing. So I love this. And I can't read tone in text, but I'll read it with the indignant attitude in which I think it was intended. Mm-hmm. So these Let's Go Branden shirts, by the way, from D-Sport Graphics, they look good. It's Branden spelled with an E, so you won't offend anybody with TDS. They've got them at D-Sport Graphics. You can get them customized, whatever. So Eric sends a text, I agree with one party, blah, 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 rallying around a childish taunt on a T-shirt seems like a logical next step. Woohoo! That's what he says. Childish taunt seems like a logical next step.
Woohoo! Woohoo! You know what it does remind me, and I just thought of this, and Brian will remember this. Do you remember in the State House many years ago when everyone wore the buttons like OTB?
One term, which meant one term, Bob. I do, and that was back in about 2004, and it was controversial, but
just to taunt Bob Holden, and they would call him OTB. I mean, we should bring those back. Does anyone have one-term Biden? I mean, we could bring those OTB buttons back.
Yeah, he ran well, and of course he was defeated in the primary by Claire McCaskill, which people forget about that. But and then she lost to Matt Blunt. But yes, that was a debate over corporate tax loopholes that all centered around.
A couple of interesting pieces of Missouri political news when I get to. I want to make sure we mention that this morning. So this Erickson's rallying around a childish taunt on a T-shirt seems like a logical next step. Woohoo! So first of all, it's not a childish taunt. It says, let's go Branden. Branden Rathert, wake up Columbia. So anyhow, here's my response to Eric. Let's go Branden is not a childish taunt. But I hear you, Eric, because I always tell people, I hear what you're saying. I hear you. Woohoo, was my response. I misspelled here.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So here I'm trying to, throw down. I'm trying to have a mic drop moment. Not really. I don't know this guy personally, but we're always nipping at each other's heels on text. So I said, let's go, Branden is not a childish taunt, but I hear you. Woohoo! And I misspelled here.
Go ahead, Hannah.
In my experience, Branden, when you think you're putting a really sick burn on somebody, you're usually not. It's usually lukewarm at best, and you're over there yeah.
But also I would say the way that you use it in the most part is at the end of a rant about an actual issue. And so you're usually and I think most conservatives are. I mean, besides people who are just chanting at sports games and holding up signs, generally it's said in the context of all of the stuff about inflation, all of the stuff about the border, and then, you throw in at the end, let's go Branden, which is just kind of reinforcing all of the policy things that back up the reason why people are frustrated.
I'm talking about paying $3.19 for gasoline. Let's go, Branden.
I'm just saying it's been cheaper in Ashland lately.
Yeah. But if you say, my dad was here Friday, show was over. He said, let's go, Branden. And people are getting Peloton. Did you GTS that? Peloton is blocking.
I'll try it. I'll see if I can do it tonight.
It's crazy. All right, we're into Who Dat Nation. We're going to play some audio. If you tell us who that is, we're going to hook you up with a Let's Go Branden shirt from T Sport Graphics and 93.9 The Eagle. Phone number is 874-9390. 874-9390. I'm trying to think of which one to use here. We've used, I can't say who it is, otherwise they give the thing. Here, let's do this.
I think you should make a harder one. They've been kind of easy so far.
All right. 874-9390. 874-9390. If you can tell us who dat.
Jill, Doug, our first lady and our first lady and our second husband. No, I'm joking. These guys travel all over the country together. I'm getting worried,
Who's that making jokes about his wife potentially sleeping with other people? 874-9390. 874-9390. If you're the first one with the correct answer, you get that Let's Go Branden shirt from D Sport Graphics and 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. We got a winner coming up about 8:53. Get ready for the Gary Nolan Show. And a couple of interesting pieces of Missouri political news we want to pass along to.
This is the show people are talking about. Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. 93.9 The Eagle.
Stephanie and I are spending way too much time together. A name you might recognize from the Wake Up Columbia family, Andy Humphrey, who was with us for a while, kind of in between the Brad Trinago and Brian Hauswirth eras. He comes in and gives us, I guess it's an invite for a wedding or something.
Mm-hmm.
But how did Stephanie and I respond? He walked in and he handed them to us, and we knew what they were, and we both went,
"Oh, so fun."
We're spending way too much time together.
It's a precursor to getting Hannah's invite.
And
okay.
It's a precursor to marriage. This is a fact.
Listen, you just took a sweet moment about Andy.
Maybe they'll throw the bouquet at Andy's wedding.
This is a fact.
What's your fact?
Every divorce started with marriage. All right, welcome into that.
Wow.
Ignore me. We are into Who Dat Nation. Here's a chance for you to win one of those Let's Go Branden, BRANDEN shirts from T-Sport Graphics, 93.9 The Eagle. We're going to play some audio as soon as you can tell us who that is here into Who Dat Nation, 874-9390. We'll get you one of these shirts. Who Dat?
Jill, Doug, our first lady and our first lady and our second husband. No, I'm joking. These guys travel all over the country together. I'm getting worried, you know.
Who dat? 874-9390. Robin, welcome into the show. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you all doing?
I'm doing excellent. We're happy to know that that you're checking out Wake Up Columbia this morning. Robin, for that Let's Go Branden shirt, who dat?
Well, I'd say it's the resident Joe Biden.
Joe Biden, Robin. Congratulations. We appreciate you listening. Whenever you put on your Let's Go Branden shirt, wear it out in public somewhere and take a picture and send it to us, okay?
Hey, I'm going to wear it to the rally this weekend in Jeff City.
Very cool. We will see you there. We'll have more chances for you to win starting tomorrow here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Cherie Tolson-Reich, want to wish her a happy birthday today. And then Rick Brattin, of course, announcing yesterday in Columbia he's running for the 4th Congressional District seat. And another piece of political news we wanted to pass along.
Yeah, it's being reported that Dave Schatz, who has been in the Missouri Senate, has filed the paperwork. He hasn't made any official announcements, but filed the paperwork for the U.S. Senate race, which, as you know, is already very crowded. I wish we had Brian in here because he could tell the whole bio. Maybe we go through that tomorrow. But yeah, so, I mean, you think about it, and if everybody gets their little piece of the pie, I mean, I think before they thought someone could win with 30%. I mean, the more people that enter the race, it's chaos.
Both fields, that 4th Congressional District race and that U.S. Senate race for Senator Roy Blunt's seat, both they're getting a little thick, as it were. Guess what? Gary Nolan Show is coming up just minutes from now here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. We hope you have a great day. See ya.
Bye.